Welcome to After the Show, your weekly movie podcast brought to you by A. Scully and Sid Talk. We're addicted to movies. Are you? Hello one, hello all. Merry Christmas to you. Merry Christmas to you, Sid Talk.
I feel like you're singling out the one, giving them a little special treatment, and then everyone else.
Hello one, hello all. Yeah, that one that's the special one. That's you.
And if you think it's me or it's you to the general public. Oh, okay. Well,
you're the special one.
Thanks. I'll take it.
Merry Christmas. Happy Christmas. Happy
It's not
holidays.
Christmas yet.
Well, it is pretty much.
It is not. Oh my God.
By the time we have our next episode, it will have been.
No, it will not.
I mean, it will nearly be.
It will be. The 25th is on Monday.
Yeah. Well, I'm just getting in the spirit early. Leave me alone.
No, you have to be accurate. Monday the 25th is Christmas.
Leave me alone.
That's accurate. And you can be in the spirit, but don't lie to people. Don't trick them.
I think the movie we just watched made me in the Christmas spirit.
We'll discuss. So what was before the after the show discussion? Just you talking about some audio stuff?
You talking about hotels?
Yeah, a little bit. Trying to find a hotel for my mother for tomorrow.
Wasn't really working.
Not really.
No. You know what? People go in hotels at this time of year. That's pretty much it.
Or it's pricey. I'm not a big fan of spending money when you don't really have to, but hey.
Let's get on with the show.
This isn't a travel show.
It is not. So it is Saturday. No, it's not. It's Friday, December the 15th, 2023.
Very accurate. Thank you.
This is After the Show 817. We're a movie review podcast. Every week we look at a new movie. This week we're looking at the new movie, The Holdovers. It's a 2023 release. You can watch it now on streaming, rated R from our friends at Universal. Sid Talk, give us the synopsis of the movie, The Holdovers.
A private boys' high school in 1970, Christmas holiday. Some boys have to stay there because their parents are far away or they're jerks and they're all rich. And one teacher has to stay behind, and that's Paul Giamatti.
All right, I'll give you the real one. A cranky history teacher at a remote prep school is forced to remain on campus over the holidays with a troubled student who has no place to go.
Accurate.
The end. All right, The Holdovers. It's the latest movie by Alexander Payne, the director of Sideways, which is an awesome movie that you should all watch. This isn't recommendations yet, but Sita, what did you think of The Holdovers?
Well, my eyes are poofy from crying so much. Not that it was sad. It was touching. So that's it. It was really good. I can understand. I got the vibe occasionally of literary pretentiousness, occasionally with a little bit of the dialogue.
I mean, yes.
But I liked it.
But it fit for what it was.
Yeah. Everyone was excellent. It looked beautiful. I would say fun, but I can't say fun.
No, it's a Christmas movie.
Stuff.
It clearly is a Christmas movie. It takes place over Christmas period. But it's not Elf.
It gave me the feeling of Magnolia, because like every person's story is sad.
Right.
But not quite as devastating as Magnolia.
No. While it has got real elements of life in this, hasn't it? Like real things that people go through.
Absolutely.
It's not fully depressing. It doesn't wind up fully depressing.
I mean, if you hand yourself over to the realities, it can be. You have to put a good spin on it.
Yeah. It's definitely not like your feel-good holiday movie, but it is a really well-acted, dramatic, interesting situation that they were in. At the beginning of the film, when they first get into it, there's a bunch of boys who the professor, the history teacher here, has to hold over with. Now, I didn't expect that all those boys disappear at some point. Did you? That was kind of surprising.
They didn't disappear. It's not a crime show. They got lifted off by one of the rich classmates' father, took a helicopter and
got them out of there.
Yep. And now we are left with the one intelligent but angry and troublemaking student and the troubled professor, teacher, and the troubled lady who cooks the food because her son has just died of Vietnam. It's 1970, remember? So it's like a sad group who kind of make it work.
Yeah, it's the
In Tim Gunn's words,
make it work. It's kind of the theme of family is what you make.
Absolutely.
Like it doesn't have to be the people you're related to.
That's absolutely the feeling I got.
Which I really liked about it. The tagline for this movie is discomfort and joy.
Yeah.
Which I think sums it up. The teacher takes the boy out of the school. So it's not all inside this school. It goes into the city. And then it becomes kind of like a traditional, like going to different places.
I mean, not fully. They go to one Christmas party. They go to Boston and look around. Yeah. I mean,
it does take off a little bit. And then it's like they learn about themselves through the scenarios that they're in.
And each other.
Yeah.
It doesn't sound so quaint.
I mean, it kind of is. But
that's what I was saying,
in a
like,
traditional way.
The hint of pretentiousness is there where, of course, he's grumpy and of course something bad has happened. And of course the kid is hateful and mean to other kids, but of course he has some trouble in his life, et cetera, et cetera. Like, you know it all. You know everybody's going to have a sad story, but you just go along for the ride. Even
though it's set in like the 70s, it feels like an older movie.
I mean, it's 70 because their New Year is 71.
It's set in the 70s. It's made to look like it was in the 70s, including like they make the film look kind of grubby and grainy, but still gorgeous, right? It's like a really well-shot film. I've noticed that this director likes to play with like everything's symmetrical.
Yeah.
Like if he shows a building, he has to show like it perfectly framed up. And even down to his credits that he had rolling over the top of the movie at the beginning, he put them like in the frame where they looked good.
Yeah.
Did you notice that? I was like,
an eye for composition.
That's like a Wes Anderson move, you know, like where you're like, I love this picture of the big school, but I have to put directed by on the screen, so I'm going to put it in the bottom corner, even though the last credit was in the top corner. It's like,
so you're composing every shot, which is nice.
Yeah. And the story itself, I don't know, I really liked it. And I liked, you know, another thing I was thinking about, The Breakfast Club. I know The Breakfast Club is a different scenario.
I was thinking more Dead Poet Society.
Breakfast Club, Dead Poet Society. People who are kind of the offshoots, not the status quo, the normal average people, having to stick together in a group and then learn something from each other. That's usually the thing, isn't it? Or learn something about life from each other.
True.
Like this teacher, played by Paul Giamatti, I think his arc is really good. Because all you know at the beginning is he seems like an ass.
Like an alcoholic ass.
Yeah. He's not very personable. I mean, he's interested in the kids learning. You know?
The thing is, right, here's the deal. His personality, I have always been drawn to the crotchety male figure who is sort of like pissed off at the world, overeducated. And yes, you can be overeducated because it's like a bucket. You fill it too full. And then what spills out? Quotes from Cicero and fucking Nietzsche and books from 2,000 years ago. And everyone else is like, what? Like, you're so out of sync, right? Because you're overfilled with details. You know why? Because he's distracting himself from the truth of his life. I've always been a little bit drawn to those people. So to me, I was like, oh, I know this guy. I know this guy very well. He's broken, and it's okay if he stays broken, or it's okay if somebody slips in there and kind of lifts him up, because you know what? He's got a lot to offer. So I knew this guy from the beginning, and it paid off because it kind of eased us through him lightening up. I felt like that was appropriate for this guy.
And the fact that he's staying behind with these, it's almost a punishment to him as a person.
No, it's a punishment to him in real life because he failed one of the snotty rich kids. Yeah. And the kid was the son of a senator. And now the administrator of the school is punishing him by making him stay over the holidays with the kids.
It's not a bad place to stay.
No, I said I would love this job.
Yeah, it's
Can I volunteer at some snotty school and just be the headmistress for the holidays? The building is awesome.
It's got a library and a gym, and you know the whole thing is cool looking.
It reminded me also of The Shining.
Right.
You know, caretaking a big empty building over the holidays.
When it gets down to it, just 4 people in this giant building.
Yeah.
And they're not always together. It's not like, oh, we're all clinging together. Like, they're off doing their own thing, aren't they, in this giant building? Like, the cleaner-up guy is cleaning up.
We never get his story. We get Mary's story and the professor and the kid, but never the guy who's, like, shoveling the snow and the maintenance guy, basically. We don't get his story. He's just there with them a little bit.
Right.
He cares about Mary because she's grieving her son. And Mary's, like, the coolest person in the whole movie.
Yeah.
She's just really, really contemplating everything, you know, and she's pretty cool.
She's trying to figure out what's next and whether she should move on or not. Like,
she keeps
feeling inside that, like, my son's dead. I shouldn't be doing everything else.
She says that she started working at that school. So it's 1970. She and her son are African-American. She's basically the only, and the guy who's scooping the sidewalk is also African-American. And I feel like they made a very clear point of showing that every single student, every single past head master, all the paintings on the walls are all white men.
They did.
They comment that everyone's rich and they all have it easy and they don't have to work to go to work or do anything. None of them have to go into the military because their parents get them out of it. And yet the lady who's the African-American, who's the head cook lady, her son, she started this job many years ago when he was little so that she knew he could be educated there at this school for free. She then wanted him to go on to college, but then she couldn't afford to send him to college like all the other parents at this school. So he decided to join the military, saying to her, after I get out, I can go to college on the GI Bill. And then he got killed in Vietnam, and it seemingly very quickly because he wasn't even 20 years old yet, she said. So that's her whole story. But she's the most, I wouldn't say she has the most reason to be broken, but it's pretty close because the kid's father situation is pretty bad.
Everything's broken, to be fair. There's nobody with a happy-go-lucky.
No.
Maybe the kid with the helicopter dad?
Yes. All he had to do was cut his hair short and he wouldn't do it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, he didn't have it too rough, but.
No. I just saw in the thing for this that it says it's a comedy. Now, would you say it's a comedy?
No.
I mean, it has some funny moments.
It has humor, for sure.
But it's not.
Do you think they're saying comedy so people will watch it? Because it will depress a lot of people.
Yeah, actually, just in that description I just read, it says The Holdovers comedy. I would say The Holdovers drama. It's certainly a drama to me.
Is it a dramedy?
Well, no, because I don't think it goes out of its way to be extremely funny. I think there are just some funny things that people say.
It's humor, like life humor.
And it's generally like making a joke of something that's terrible.
True.
Like something that we can't really cope with, so we make a joke into it. That's what this movie does a lot. And I appreciate that because it's real life-ish. I've never been in this situation. I've never been in a school like this. Dead Poet Society is exactly the only reference I have to a big school like this.
Yeah, there's one called Class from the 80s where they're at a prep school for boys.
Is that a horror movie?
It is not. It's like a, romp where one of the students' moms is real sexy and...
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, not this movie.
No, it's got Rob Lowe in it.
Right.
Rob Lowe.
But Discomfort and Joy, which is the tagline, I do feel that is a good...
Yeah. Because there is joy. They find joy in, like, just comforting each other and maybe looking at each other and going, wow, at least I don't have what you've got.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, as we all do.
And the acting in this movie is, like, absolutely top-notch.
Absolutely.
It was making me well up at times.
What?
Just Paul Giamatti can deliver... He can deliver lines.
That man can deliver.
He's just being this man, like, and there's stuff coming out of him where I'm like, oh, shit, like, I really understand this guy.
Aww.
Like, where he's had a hard time, too. But he puts on this face, doesn't he, every day?
He's mad at himself, we'll say. And I'm not a professional, but this character is mad at his own self because his story isn't tragedy induced. The boy's father has mental health issues, so he's in a facility. Right. The woman's son is dead. His thing was his own...
Just himself, like...
He caused a problem when he was back in school, and then... he didn't cause the problem. Someone else started it, but then he ran over someone with his car, and then he got kicked out of college. And, his sadness and anger is more maybe about his regret of not pushing himself further. Because he just went back to the high school he graduated from
and didn't budge.
And has never left. He literally lives at the high school, and he's old, he's in his 50s, 60s. And so I think his anger is at himself. Whereas the other two, they have an out of control situation put upon them by life.
Yeah.
That they're having to cope with. Almost, I'm sounding so deep, but it's that kind of, but it's life. You're right. It is just like life. Everyone has a story.
And everybody's got something bad as well as good.
True.
Some have more bad. But
different kinds of bad, for
different
sure.
kinds of bad. You can't really say, well, my bad's terrible, yours isn't as bad, because...
I mean, it depends on the thing.
Yeah.
And your perspective and the reality of some tragedies are worse than others. Like, that's reality. And if you don't accept that, that's unfortunate, but that's the truth. But the way you feel and the way you cope, it might hit you just as hard to have your mom marry a new dude like this kid has, and she wants to move on with her life and leave the dad in the mental facility and basically just kind of ignore the son. Her emotions also, she's had to be hit with a very difficult thing. So does the son. Everybody, way they're coping feels the same to each person. Yeah. Whereas her losing her husband, the kid losing his father, it's different, but it's the same, blah, blah. So if you don't like getting emotional about people and characters, you might not love it.
You might feel like it's a downer at the end.
Absolutely.
There's some uplifting moments towards the end, but you might be so in a downer at that point that they don't actually bring you back from it.
You're like drowning in the sadness of it.
Yeah, because it is very sad. Everything is sad, right?
I mean,
in a way.
My life philosophy is that when you can keep moving, that's not sadness. And these people are all keep moving. He's moving on. The kid's
They're
like,
all
you know what?
Trying to cope with what
Absolutely.
it is. Yeah.
I'm changing some behavior. I'm moving on. Or like the lady stays there to be cooking. But I think when he offers her a drink, and she'd been drinking a lot the whole time we saw her, every night she was drinking heavily. And then she went to her sister's who's having a baby. And then we see her in the next time. And he says, how about a whiskey or whatever? And she's like, no, thanks. I'll just have tea. I think we didn't see her make the decision to let go.
But she did.
And kind of move on, and maybe stopping her heavy drinking was part of it. But we didn't see any of that. You pick up there, and then she decides to stay at her job and be good at her job and be there for the kids, whatever level that is, as the lady who's cooking the food. But her own choice is that. His is, he doesn't have a choice. He gets, spoiler, he's moving on. The kid has to kind of stay and move on at the same time. So, interesting.
Yeah. All right. So, cast Paul Giamatti as Paul Hunnam. I feel like we've not seen him for a long time.
Yeah, it's been a while.
But I've always loved him.
You have.
And in this, it just, I don't know, give him an Oscar.
You've loved him since he was Pig Vomit.
I have. And
be honest.
maybe before that, I don't know. Anything that he's in, I like. I always like how he plays something. But in this, for the age he is, the character, it seems right.
Absolutely.
Did we mention he has is it a glass eye in this movie?
I think he just has
just an eye that's not looking.
Wonky eye, yeah.
But I found that really funny that when the boy, because this shows you when Angus, the boy, gets close enough to him and friendly enough, he says to him, which eye should I look in?
Yeah.
It's kind of like a marker in the movie where you're like, okay, we're at this point where we can say this to each other.
True. Also, honesty is a theme in the movie. Honesty and lying. There are levels of honesty that feel very uncomfortable, like when he tells him he smells bad.
Yeah.
And there are levels of lying, which are well, of course they would want to lie about that. That makes sense to all of us, to lie to get out of that situation or whatever. But it's very pointedly the balance of honesty and the purpose of honesty versus the purpose of lying sometimes. I feel like that was a really strong theme.
Yeah, even down to what happens at the end of the movie.
Yeah, because his lie is him being honest with himself that he needs to move on. See, I'm reading all kinds of things into it, but
no, I don't
feel like that's right.
I think that's throughout the script, isn't it? That's
in order for me to get on with my life, I'm going to have to tell this lie in a way that kind of lets everybody else off the hook, and I'll take the punishment and I get a new life. So
we've got Davine Joy Randolph as Mary Lamb. I think you probably liked her the best.
Amazing. She was my favorite thing. She was absolutely centered and over it, you know? I mean, she tells the story of her son's father being killed before and when she was young, obviously, and now her son's been killed. She's in this job, which she's good at, and she's got a place to live, and she just seems like she's working out her situation.
She's thoroughly heartbroken.
She's very heartbroken and also tough. You know what I mean? Like tough, but not like that rowdy kind of tough. She's tough as in like, I'll just sit here and think about, and I'll hold your hand for a minute. But she didn't like him holding her hand, remember? But then she held the boy's hand.
Yeah, which was very touching.
Very.
We've got Dominic Sessa as Angus Tully. One point about this dude is he's not been in any other movies. This is his first movie. And holy crap, is he good.
He is really good.
I mean, he's playing against Paul Giamatti, which I'm assuming is he's an established, awesome actor. This guy, I think he was as good as him. That was the part where I was surprised about it.
I don't know about why you're surprised, because I think some people just have it in them to like...
Yeah, well, I was suspecting to go and look him up on IMDb after the film had finished and see like 30 movies he's been in, and he's so good. I just haven't seen him before. But no, nothing. And shit, it's a performance, right?
Really good.
And then Carrie Preston as Miss Lydia Crane. I put her down.
Yeah, she's good.
I didn't know who she was. I kept looking at the actress going, I know her from somewhere. What we know her from is True Blood. She was
the lady who got glamored all the time by the people who own the vampire bar.
Yeah, but she was good in this too, because that scene where they went out to eat the burger, and the dude got into some trouble. That scene there was good.
Yeah.
Directed by Alexander Payne. He directed Sideways, which I mentioned earlier. Downsizing. Did you like that one?
I think I have mixed feelings about Downsizing.
I think I liked the first 3/4 of it, and then the last quarter I remember being like very
very sappy or something.
Almost. Yeah, and he also did About Schmidt. Did you like that one? It's another one that's not cheerful so much.
Not cheerful. I didn't mind it.
Yeah. So Alexander Payne here. This has got a different style to it than those movies. It really sticks to this. I'm making a 70s movie.
Absolutely.
That looks like it was made in the 70s.
With pacing, some shots are long and seemingly you're like, what am I looking at this desk for like 10, 20 seconds?
And if he plays a song, like on the soundtrack, he'll play the whole song, which I liked. I don't know what the music was. Do you? Like 70s, like, was it Cat Stevens or something like that?
I don't know all of it.
He wasn't like, I'm going to play a little clip from a song. I'm going to have the whole song play out and show you scenes of the school happening. Yeah, that's what they did in the 70s. Now, everybody's too impatient, right?
Oh, listen to you. Old grumpy man. No wonder you identify with this character.
Exactly. So IMDb reviews, what are those?
Those are reviews that other people like to write about movies, and you like to read them, and then you like to make fun of the 1-star people. Not maybe make fun of, but lavish in the simplicity of it all.
Yes. Mr. Number One here says, worst movie no matter what.
Right on.
Number 1, bad script, no point of dialogue where to follow up.
Okay.
Number 2, bad cast, 30-year-old playing a high school kid. Now,
Yeah.
This kid is supposed to be 15. And
but see, that you read that in the synopsis. But
yes.
For me, he's in this class, he's in this school, and the 15 isn't correct. So let's go to the movie, to the actual script. In the script, he says he got kicked out of a couple of schools, and this is why he's still a junior.
Right.
Give or take a couple semesters. Okay. So in America, because you're British, so you don't understand even after 2 decades. When I would go to high school, you graduate when you're 18 years old. That's when you're a senior. When you're a junior, you're 17. You're 16 and 17 years old. He's been held over for an extra semester or 2. He's not old enough to buy alcohol, so he could be 17, 18 in the movie.
Right, but the actor still is probably 25, right?
I don't know. I could buy him as an 18-year-old or on the verge of being 18. So That is fine. When you said the synopsis says 15, whoever wrote that is not correct.
Anyway, this guy ends up with a helicopter lands and picks up the unwanted cast. What an amateur movie.
I mean, I felt like that was plausible.
A second guy says, Movie critics often sway public opinion, influencing individuals' decision-making. It's disheartening to witness this movie garner rave reviews from critics, only to go to watch it and find it underwhelming. Similarly, a low-rated comedy might surprise you with its humour. There's inconsistency in the review process. It should be changed.
That's a lot.
Yeah. That's it. There's only 2 one-star reviews for this movie, so screw you guys. They're the IMDb reviews. Extras, we did not see any because we watched the streaming one. And we're going to give the Holdovers a score. I'm going to give the Holdovers 9 out of 10.
Ooh. I will give it an 8.9.
Pretty close.
Yeah.
On the same page,
On
so
the
to
same
speak.
page-ish.
Yes. All right, so I guess we liked it. Thank you to Universal. Next week, we're going to be looking at the movie Leave the World Behind, starring Julia Roberts. And movie recommendations.
Is it a zombie movie? Because I don't know why she would be in a zombie movie, but I'm hoping that's the case. Some horrible
I don't think it's a
disaster
zombie
in the
movie.
world, and then you leave. Oh, it's not. Okay.
No.
If it's not zombie with Julia Roberts, I don't know if I want to watch it.
It might be an end of the world movie.
End of the world would be fine. Okay,
Yes.
okay. Apocalyptic. Okay.
Leave the world behind. Next
Don't
week.
get my hopes up, though.
No.
It also could be a romantic comedy.
It is not. I know that.
Okay.
I know as much. Movie recommendations. I'm going to recommend Sideways, starring Paul Giamatti. It is amazing, that movie. You like that one?
I don't know if it was amazing. I remember liking it and being like,
It's
ooh,
very funny.
It's funny, but also I bet it has
Poignant.
that pretentiousness about it.
It does
as
a
well.
little bit because
Yeah.
he's into wine.
I don't mean that. I just mean the writing is probably very twee, as they say on the painting.
In a
champion.
good way.
Maybe a little bit Richard Curtis-ish, you know? Is it written
Yes.
by Richard Curtis?
Yeah.
Was it?
No. It was by this guy, the Holdovers guy.
Written by him
Alexander
or directed?
Payne. Yeah.
Written by him.
Yes.
Okay.
It's not the same as this movie, but it's got similarities for sure in the humor. Like
What was the other one with Michael Douglas, Something Boys, where he's a professor and there's also sort of the
Hardy Boys?
No. I can't remember what it's called. Something Boys, where he's like a professor.
History Boys?
No. And there's like, trouble, relationships, overcoming, blah, blah, blah.
I'm also going to give you... what's my other favorite Paul Giamatti movie?
Howard Stern movie?
I mean, I would give you Private Parts. It's an excellent movie.
It is not an excellent...
It's very funny and well...
It is not an excellent
really well
movie.
done.
I mean, subjective, I know. I don't know. Paul Giamatti, what else?
Well, I don't know. That's what I'm saying. I'm asking you what's my other favorite Paul Giamatti movie, so you can tell me.
I don't remember.
Is it San Andreas?
No, I don't think so.
I'm looking through his stuff.
He was also in
The Last Station?
Contagion or one of those, wasn't he? If I'm not mistaken. Not Contagion, maybe, but one of those where there's a big disaster in the world. You know what I'm saying?
Yes. Oh, I know a good one that he was in. I'll give you this one. American Splendor.
Oh,
which
yeah.
is the story of Harvey Picar. It was really, really good. And I knew nothing about that guy, but I wanted to after seeing it. So there you go.
Was that the comic book guy?
Yeah.
And I bought that comic book that guy wrote about our year of cancer. Yeah.
Yeah, that one.
That one was good. And again, he was grumpy, irreverent.
And he played it very well. So Sideways and American Splendor.
And mine are going to be of the season. We're moving on from science fiction and blah, 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 because in the next week, in fact, probably in the next 2 days, I'm going to be watching some favorites of mine and maybe a few other people. Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, the stop frame animation. Frosty the Snowman, stop frame animation.
What was
Charlie Brown Christmas. Little preachy, but I can take it. The Grinch, of course, and Elf. Because, and also I'll add one, Wizard of Oz. You might like to watch Bad Santa. I don't know, because that's one of your faves.
I like Love Actually and Bad Santa.
Love Actually, yeah, that's a Christmas one. So we can add all those, mush them all in there. You have to remember things like Rudolph have a lot of really hate, and Charlie Brown, because they pick on Charlie Brown. They pick on Rudolph. It's really shitty. Santa's like a jerk in Rudolph. He really is, because if he's rejecting Rudolph because of his red nose, And then in the end, because Rudolph can benefit everybody, he's okay. It's like the shittiest story ever, right? There's no like, the best part of that story is friendship. He makes friends with the elf and whatnot. Frosty, the snowman. I don't know what the moral is there because Frosty keeps melting and he needs to go back and be frozen. So I'm not sure about that one. Charlie Brown, they pick on Charlie Brown, then he gets a tree, then they do up the tree, and that's it. And the Grinch, of course, you know, the spirit of Christmas isn't about the things you buy or the noises you make. It's about what's in your heart. That's fine. And Elf, the spirit of Christmas again. So, you know, there's a little theme there, obviously.
Clearly.
And my advice?
I know, I'm going to do my A. Scully stuff first.
Yeah, I'm skipping your whole section.
You are. Slow down. Slow down, Junior.
Let me have a beverage. You know what I made? Some hot cider with all kinds of flavoring in it.
Wow. Interesting, but irrelevant. All right, A. Scully stuff. I've been playing this week the American Truck Simulator, the new DLC. I always mention the American Truck Simulator because I love it. Have you seen this, Sito? Do you know what it is?
I mean, I've seen it over your shoulder.
On my Steam, you know how many hours, when it says like hours played of American Truck Simulator, it's 170 hours altogether.
Right on.
What's yours for, how many hours have you played Cities Skylines?
More than that.
Yeah, probably 1,000 hours, right?
I think last count was 1,900
But
hours?
you do leave it switched on. Sometimes.
I haven't for a long time. No, I will sit here though and play for like 4 hours.
Yeah, but when you did, that counted.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas I
mean, I'm not playing. You see, you build the city and then let the city do its thing. You don't want to touch it or manage it. You just want to see how it fails or succeeds. So that's part of the game.
So American Truck Simulator, it's a PC truck simulator. It's not just you driving a truck around, actually. It's a management simulator of a trucking company. So you make your own trucking company at the beginning. And then as you go around making money, delivering things, you eventually get enough money to buy a depot, buy trucks, and hire people to drive trucks. So then eventually, when you're driving your things from A to B, so are all the people from your depot, and money is rolling in. Now, I got it to a point where money was rolling in and I didn't owe any money to the bank. So in my last game, I took out a massive bank loan, which I've not done for a long time in the game, and bought a second place in Kansas City. So I've got 2 truck depots now, but I owe the bank so much money, I'm dying in debt. But the new DLC it's the part of the map that's Kansas. And basically they're filling in the map. They're going from left to right across the country. And eventually all of the country will be filled in. And you'll be able to be a truck simulator. What will they do when it's all done, Sid Talk?
Updates, I suppose, on more specific, maybe Canada or Mexico?
Yeah, I guess you could. Canada, Alaska, that kind of thing.
I mean, Alaska and Hawaii, sure.
Because there is no snow in the game.
You could drive to Alaska. You can't drive to Hawaii.
There is no snow in the game. There is full weather systems, but no snow as yet. But for Christmas time, which is actually available now, there's a free DLC, and it's not a DLC, it's more of an event. But if you go to this point on the map, there's like a vortex, which isn't very realistic, but it's Christmas. Hey, you go to this vortex, it takes you through the other side, and you're in a winter wonderland where you can deliver stuff in the snow. So what I think is they're probably going to put snow into the game eventually, but they're testing it out with this Christmas thing. And that's free. You can play that right now. So Sid Talk, next week will be probably our last one of the year, right?
Is it? Let me look. Well, we could do it on Christmas Day.
Well, we wouldn't be making a podcast on Christmas Day, would we? And nobody else would be listening to it, probably. They've got better things to do.
I mean, that's up to you.
So that week, we probably won't do one.
All right.
We will do one next weekend. And in next weekend's show,
next weekend is the one that you would post on the 25th.
It is, but I probably won't post it on the 25th. That's what I'm getting at.
Huh.
I'll probably post it on the 27th. Anyway.
Ours is not to wonder why.
Yes. But in that episode, we'll do our top 10 like we do every year. Top 10 movies and our worst movie of the year. So stay tuned.
Ooh, I need to look.
Yeah.
I've got it all in a spreadsheet.
Sid Talk, what's for dinner?
Tonight, we're going to take out. I don't know what yet. What do you want?
I want something really delicious.
That narrows it down.
Jersey Mike?
That sounds fine. So Jersey Mike's it is. And my advice isn't advice. It's just an observation, as it is occasionally. I'm not the most, like, push, ambitious person. Like, oh, if you tell me I can't do it, then I'm going to do it just to prove you wrong. I don't believe in any of that shit for me. I'm not that person. However, there are things I'm learning that if I don't think I can do that, I should just do it and not be afraid of it. And then usually, and I'm not saying this to be pompous, but I usually do well at it. If I don't, like, I taught myself to play one song on the violin last year. I know nothing about music. I know nothing about instruments. I can't read music. I don't know what the difference between F and G and A and E and B, whatever. But I did taught myself with the help of YouTube, how to play one song on a violin. And then I realized I'm not a violin person. Like, I'm not going to be good at it. And it's not that I'm not interested, but what's the point for me? I can take that energy, put it into something else. But I still did it. And it taught me, like, wow, if I can do that, even a little bit, then the other things that I think, like when I painted the painting of the beach stuff last year, also thinking like, I can't do that because that's like very specific and highly skilled. And then what did I do? I figured it out. So testing what you thought was your limit can be very enlightening. It can also be very disappointing, like the violin thing. I actually could envision myself being like, once I figure it out, I should be able to play some songs on the violin, play the fiddle/violin, actually participate, play songs for people, even though they wouldn't be great or virtuoso. That is not the truth. I had to accept that is not in my wheelhouse. And the disappointment of like kind of having to divorce myself from that idea and moving on is just part of it. All of that is worth it because the more things you try, the more things you can do. And that's the biggest, that's great. I mean, I don't know big words to use for that. That's just an amazing feeling. When you don't try it, you'll never know. I think being disappointed is better than never knowing.
Well said.
Thanks.
Thank you. Well done. Sid Talk. Well done. Thank you.
Danke.
ascully.com. That's the place you can go to get this podcast. You can also go to Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. We're on Spotify, iTunes, Amazon, and even a YouTube version of the podcast. You can also email feedback to me, ascully@ascully.com. Do not email Sid Talk. And finally, stay classy, Mr. Paul Giamatti. Please come back and do lots more movies so I can watch you some more.
And I'm going to say, think for yourself, because if you're not doing it, someone is doing it for you.